What's up, everybody? Paul here from the Hoops Crew, and it's a brand new episode of the Paul James Show tonight. That is the Round 8 wrap-up episode. Geelong, of course, we're still basking in the glow, got up by 3 points against the Collingwood Football Club on Saturday night, and there's been a lot to discuss from that game. There's been a lot of controversies, things that people are happy and unhappy with, and look, we're gonna talk all about it in this episode. It's gonna be a big one. There's a lot to discuss. Don't know if it's necessarily the longest episode, but certainly a lot of high notes along the way. For anyone new, I'm your host, Paul James. We'll get into proceedings here. We'll go through a bit of a rundown of the show, and we'll get into it nice and quick. Of course, we are going to begin by reviewing the Collingwood and Geelong game. Of course, you've had the opportunity to catch up with my reaction video. And, I've gone into the game in a great deal of depth there, but I want to work with you, the community, a little bit tonight, discuss the game in further detail, hear some of your thoughts, and go from there. We'll go around the grounds, talk about the other games that we'll play this weekend. We'll jump into some Q&A. We've got game of the show. Congratulations, of course, to Amanda for winning the pizza in Post-Game Live the other night. A pretty wild and wacky Post-Game Live. I've seen snippets of it. It was one hell of a time. And before we proceed any further, let's take a moment to acknowledge what has been perhaps the hottest, the fastest, the best performing video we've had on the Hoops Crew in terms of clicks, engagement per hour in quite some time. A lot of you have gotten well and truly around my Enough of the Week video this week, dedicated to none other than David King and his ridiculous Geelong takes. I gave him a bit of a clip this week because I'd been on the fence. I'd been giving him the benefit of the doubt for a while, and just some of the bullshit that came out of his mouth this weekend absolutely prompted me to go for it. And so we did. Here we are. David King, you're enough. Please, if you haven't already, go check out the Enough of the Week video, all about David King and his ridiculously biased Geelong opinions. Now, let's get into the show itself, and we'll begin, of course, as I said a moment ago, by looking at the Geelong and Collingwood game, run and won, where we were victorious. It's a good feeling. We're very, very happy. Thank you, roaming with the W vid. I thought it was a bit of a win as well. That was actually a peek behind the curtain. That was actually the second time I recorded it. I can't remember if I posted it anywhere, maybe on the Hoops Crew Discord for people to check out if you're a Discord member. And there's no cost. It's just a community platform. It's a forum of sorts. So please, if you've not considered checking out the Hoops Crew Discord, consider checking that one out. The notes are in the show. The notes are in the show's description, I should say. But yeah, it was. I had to re-record it. I used a clip initially that was some of his rants post-game, but that got the video blocked, so you wouldn't have been able to see it. So I had to redo that one. For some reason, I can show content from AFL 360, which was Razor talking about it, but I can't show David King making a fool of himself. So we just read out the quotes instead. All right, let's get into proceedings a little bit here. Of course, the Cats got the job done. Collingwood's 12-15-87, failing to match Geelong's 13-12-90. And of course, as has been long discussed, it came down to a shot after the siren. By the skin of our teeth, we got over the line. I don't know about you, and we've certainly heard a lot of players talk about it. If you've caught any of the post-match interviews, it's been discussed quite a bit that there's a lot of the Geelong players who were of the mind that this was one of those footy gods moments, that Jack Crisp celebrating a milestone accomplishment, something that may honestly never be reached by another player, to have eclipsed Jim Steins' 244 consecutive games played record, to go 245 that night, and who knows how far that's going to extend now. Maybe they'll drop him after that missed shot. For him to have the ball in his hands after the siren, it felt like some sort of hand of God moment at play. And I just thought, okay, we're watching the miracle on grass again. This is going to be one of those moments where we just, and sorry, Ben's just created another rule. Don't reference the miracle on grass. But Yeah, it was. And sorry, the chat is popping off with some comments about Eddie Maguire. Maybe Eddie Maguire needs to be the next Nuff. I believe I've seen the clip with the Eddie and Jimmy show. Apparently, Eddie knows best. But oh geez, yeah, people are really piling in. You're distracting me. Yeah, they've all been talking about kind of that hand of God sort of moment. This felt like a moment for him, and he missed, sucked in. Blaze or Blakey pops in. What a game it was, a ripper, and especially for someone like yourself, a neutral, a dog supporter. We might talk about the dogs shortly, and Bailey Smith. Would have been a great one to watch. I think for most of us Cats or Collingwood fans, it would have been peeking between the fingers, I reckon, for the entirety of the last 10 minutes. It was a pretty hectic one. All right, let's get into some of the notes, some of the points of discussion from the game here. Collingwood, are they Geelong's bunnies? That's 6 out of the last 8 that Geelong have won, including some pretty important games along the way. There's been some finals going back to 2020. We've got their measure at the moment, despite how close some of these games are. I'm going to struggle to ignore all of the Eddie Maguire talk. I will for now. Bear with me, please. If you've got lots of thoughts on Eddie Maguire's comments, bring them back up again when we get to the Q&A, because it does, he was a bit ridiculous the way he spoke to Jimmy Bartell in their little show today. But yeah, here we are. Ridiculous. Paddy Dangerfield put on an absolute masterclass in the fourth. I've heard some saying, I did actually hear Cam Mooney interviewing afterwards saying it's one of the best games he's played in many years. I would push back on that. I think Danger played an absolutely sensational second half, but I think he'd been a little bit, not contained, but his impact had been blunted a little bit in terms of where he's really trying to do the bulk of his work at the moment, up forward. But Jackie wishes she could post a GIF, because we could probably just drop the quote in there. But he absolutely blew the game apart in that last quarter and a half in particular. In the final quarter, absolutely dominated. Good to see you in the chat, Black and White United. It was I guess a rough night in the end for you guys, but good to see that you're bouncing back nicely, and look forward to chatting again sometime soon. I think I wasn't on post game live. I haven't been able to check all of it out yet. I believe you might have popped your head in. Let me know. I need to still watch it all back at some point, but it's a 3-hour recording, so we'll get there at some stage. I just have seen clips of Lucas doing ice bucket challenges, and I don't know. Did we basically turn into a dating show at one point? It was a strange old night. Ollie Wiltshire kicked his first goal, which was awesome to see. Of course, you love those moments, and really for the I guess the stakes of for that game didn't come at a bad time either. Late in the third quarter, the Cats mounting a little bit of a charge, and then there's always a bit of excitement that any team gets from a player kicking their first ever AFL goal, and I guess more on AFL players who've kicked their first ever career goal a little bit later. But it wasn't a bad time for it, and it probably helped provide an additional spark for a team that was already up and running. Oh, okay. Sorry. There must. I don't know. I'm sure I saw someone or heard of someone on the Collingwood side representing it. Might have been someone else. But either way, good. Wild night. Maybe we'll have to get you on board sometime in the future. Maybe even to preview or review one of these matches in the future. So we'll look forward to chatting to you again sometime soon. Lucas, unfortunately, there'll be no second date. It wasn't married at first sight on post game live. Oh, sorry, maths on post game live site. I mean, you never know. Did she live in Tasmania? Is that what I'm hearing? What was her name? Oh, I don't know. I need to catch up. There is some Hoops Crew lore that is forming at the moment that I'm out of the loop on, and I don't like that. Bailey Smith, I referenced it before. Blakey had a little cheeky dig at the Dogs in the post game. Just kind of highlighting the 4,500 that attended a game in Ballarat versus the 82,000 that were there for the MCG. And Bont bit back, which was really interesting. It was a very classy response from Bont, but he did bite back a little bit. And that, I guess, stokes some fires. I think there's a bit of excitement now for a game that's about 2.5 or so weeks away against the Doggies. I'm really excited to see how this one plays out. I don't know if you really want to poke the bear a little bit like he did. But I think for someone like Bailey, it does seem like he needs a bit of drama. He needs a bit of theatrics to really hit full strides. So we'll see. Some comments popping in. Gary, it's nice to see Ollie Henry become relevant again. I've been telling you all, and I'm not saying you specifically, Gary, but everyone needed to be patient. And he came back in a big way. Some really important touches that won't be recorded, but then obviously 2 goals, several goal assists, plenty of score involvements. This was the Ollie Henry performance that I think we've been waiting for all season so far. So I told you also. I don't know. It's good times. Bailey Smith is currently, speaking of Bailey Smith, he is currently 4th in the Brownlow medal race in terms of favoritism right now, for whatever betting is worth too. It seems like the masses are starting to cotton on to the significance of his season so far. And I dared to suggest when we did the reaction video the other day that maybe he's having a Paddy Dangerfield 2016 season. First year at the Cats, explodes out the blocks, wins a Brownlow medal. It'd be nice. Let's keep going, though. Tom Atkins, some handy little stats here. And I'm seeing a bit of love for Tom Atkins. We're also going to talk a little bit about O'Shane Mullen along the way here. Tom Atkins leading the AFL still for tackles in the competition. He's now at 84. The next best is Josh Dunkley from Brisbane at 59. He's got 25 more tackles than the next best player in the competition. And then that also just to highlight some ridiculous stuff that we're going to talk a little bit in a bit more detail about later. But AFL 26, the game that comes out this week, they revealed the top 10 players in a variety of different key stats. Here's the top 10 players in the competition for tackles, apparently, according to Big Ant, the developers of the game. Paddy Cripps, number 1. Jack Viney, number 2. Marcus Bontempelli, number 3. Tom Green, number 4. Josh Dunkley, number 5. Matt Rowell, number 6. Jack Steele, number 7. Jordan Dawson, number 8. Number 9 is Ollie Wines. And number 10, James Rowbottom. Where is Tom Atkins? It's absolutely insane to me. But the best in the competition in that stat right now. But to Aiden's point, also, sorry, I shouldn't have unpinned that. The tagging job on Dacos meant that we could use Tom Atkins as another high disposal midfielder and also kind of clamp down on the likes of Danger and some of those players as well. So Luke is skipping ahead a little bit here for some of the game talk. Oblivion Remasters caught his eye. More on that later, I'm sure, as we get to some Q&A. But the beast, the axe, Tom Atkins is absolutely monstering the competition with his defensive pressure at the moment, still averaging more than 10 tackles a game. That's an incredible stat. Ollie Wiltshire was the sub replacing Rhys Stanley, which obviously then allowed him to kick his first goal. Rhys Stanley looking at like probably a 3 to 4 week absence now with a hamstring. The club's obviously really cagey about its conversations of injuries these days. We've seen TBC filling up the injury sheet for ages now, and I'm sure we'll see TBC next to Rhys Stanley's name during the week. But you'd imagine the club will play it conservative. He's an elder statesman of the club. He plays a very important role that we're a little bit depleted at the moment. Maybe take it easy. Make sure he comes back fit and firing. He's a form and a momentum guy. Give him the time. Make sure he comes in cherry ripe and good to go so he can build that confidence and momentum once again. To be fair, though, going off last year's stats, yes, I'll talk more about it shortly. I am not, I'll save some of my thoughts there. But, Risky also says that Jeremy Cameron's the best mark in the game. There's no stat that would suggest Jeremy Cameron's the best mark in the game. So let's keep going there. Lawson Humphreys, a sad bit of news, and drop those sad face emojis in the chat if you can. Delayed concussion. I don't even recall the actual incident that prompted it. And please, someone remind me. But he has suffered a delayed concussion, so he'll be out for our game this week against the Giants, unfortunately. He's been close. He'd be top 5 in Kaji at the moment, I would thought, based on the way he's playing. An incredible accomplishment for someone who's in his second season. But he's been absolutely sensational so far, and it's a real shame to be losing him this week. That said, you'd imagine the troops are queuing up to come and replace him. Tom Stewart, quite possibly on his way back. Jake Kolodjasny as well. You've got Jack Henry that's there or thereabouts. Seems like the troops are coming back. I've had a bad day today. Ben is dropping the sad face emojis there. Let's keep them churning out, or some sort of positive sentiments even for Lawson. Somehow he might see it. And we know he knows that we're all thinking of him and looking forward to seeing him back in a week and a half. Ryan would be also due to return this week. A massive credit to the Cats. They did it without him. More of those Lawson sentiments. The comments are piling in. Bussy pops in and says, isn't Lawson Humphreys the best name you've ever heard? Without a doubt. Absolutely, no doubt about it. The coaches' votes are also in for this matchup. Paddy Dangerfield, and we don't care about the Pies. Paddy Dangerfield has received the full 10 votes, 5 from both coaches. Bailey Smith with the 6. Mark O'Connor with 2, who was very important in that defensive end of the ground, played a fantastic game in that regard. Let's talk about our next 4 games here. And it's still, for the most part, a pretty tough road. GWS at GMHBA. We haven't got a great record at home against the Giants these days. So let's see where we go there. I did see a comment before, and maybe I need to catch myself up. But, there was a bit of blood on the head. I didn't equate that to, because wasn't that a nick somewhere around here? But maybe that was, in fact, the moment. I'm sure I saw a comment suggesting that GWS are without a ruckman too, from Gary. So maybe that helps things a little bit in the regard of of Reece Stanley being out. But we'll see how we go. Didn't he have a Selwood bandage? Yeah. Does anyone know when the bye is? Let me quickly double check that one since we're in the midst of this conversation. Filter, team, Geelong. We have our bye. What? Round 11, 12, 13, 14. Oh, round 16. Round 16 as our bye. Right after a matchup against the Lions. We've actually got a long wait before we get our bye. Dogs, Eagles. So I guess we've got these next 4. So I touched on about to touch on. So the Giants, Port over in Adelaide, the Dogs at GMHBA again. We go across to Perth to play the Eagles. Maybe that's a bye in the eyes of some of you, but we won't be too smug about it. Another tough matchup against the Suns. That's at GMHBA. The Bombers at the MCG. Brisbane come and play us at GMHBA. And then we get a break in round 16 and return to a game against the Tigers. That is, I don't know, it feels later than I expected. And actually, yeah, sorry, I'm seeing a lot of you in the chat that are also saying the same thing. Bussy says it's late. Shadu says it's late. Sputicus suggests, is that fair? It's Harley Reid's tryout game. It feels much later than I expected. And I don't know if that was some byproduct of what happened at the beginning of the season. I can't remember now. But that's the next 4 for the Cats. We'll go around the grounds a little bit here and look at the rest of the round and discuss some of the various other talking points from the round that was. It was a really fascinating one. But of course, beginning with Geelong-related things, the VFL men had a bye, and unfortunately, the women's team went down to Williamstown to the tune of 47 points. There was no AFL-listed players performing that weekend. We are 0-3 and 11th place on the ladder. Not a great place to be in, but I guess if you are hoping to see some AFLW success for the Cats, just keep in mind that none of our AFLW players were participating in that match, and maybe that explains the result a little bit. And, I guess ensures for now that we've got some healthy bodies going into the upcoming 2025 season. Let's discuss these other matches, though. It began with a pretty lackluster, and we were talking about this one live, pretty lackluster Essendon and North Melbourne game. We were doing this during the Paul James show on Thursday. That game was a wet fart. We don't really want to think too much about that. Nor do we want to think too much about St Kilda and Fremantle, which was a pretty shitty game itself. Freo are a basket case. The difference between their best and their worst form is, I feel at this point, greater than any other club in the competition. It's absolutely insane the way they are playing at the moment, as is Ports. Ports is right up there as well. They got annihilated by the Dogs. And whilst I think many expected the Dogs to win, going to Ballarat gave them a bit of an advantage. Playing in front of an enormous crowd of 4,500 people, I'm sure helped. You could probably hear a pin drop there. Sorry, I'm just going to come into bat for Bailey Smith. Yeah, I don't know. Like, they're not they're not in a good place, Port, either. And when you get these rumours starting to boil up about Zach Butters, it makes you feel a bit better about it too, and makes you think it's more and more likely to actually occur. Another smashing. Really, I mean, it was pretty much the Geelong and Collingwood game, as well as the two northern. What did I call it? The Sydney Smash earlier in the year, and the Q Clash. Those and the Cats and the Pies. They were the only games that kept the footy interesting this weekend, really. Because Carlton went down by 10 goals. We've already touched on the Cats and the Pies, of course. The D's had some moments where they were a little bit worrisome. I was genuinely a bit concerned for a while then, and they pulled away. Max Gorn put on a masterclass, especially in the second half, to pull away there. Just the bitterness between the Swans and the Giants made this one a really fascinating contest, but the Swans got up to the tune of 14 points. The Hawks did what they needed to do against the Tigers. There was even a little bit of spice to that one as well, with an early 2000s reminiscent sort of mini brawl that nearly spilled over. And the Q Clash, which we expected perhaps to be a little bit closer than what they actually are. What they actually were. It was an interesting matchup nonetheless. Low scorer, which is, I guess, interesting. I haven't watched too much of that game as of yet. Ben says Bombers have won 4-5, top 4. They'll still be bottom 4. They'll absolutely be bottom 4. And let's quickly bring up the ladder just to suss out where the Bombers are. It's crazy that they're as high as they are. 4 wins, 3 losses, but expect them to go at some point nice and soon. They're an awful football club. They've got no chance. And the injuries haven't helped. We're here with the ladder. We may as well continue to focus on it right now. So we can see that win for Geelong, a very important one with a large number of teams breathing down their necks. This was a game where if things went pear-shaped for us against the Pies, we could have tumbled down that ladder quite a way. Instead, we've built that 1-game buffer over the Giants. And hopefully we can extend that buffer this weekend against the Giants as well. Brisbane leading the way right now, 7 wins and 1 loss. The Pies copping their second loss now, 6-2. The Hawks 6-2. Gold Coast 1 game less than most other clubs in the competition. They have 5 wins and 2 losses. The Crows 5-3. The Dogs and the Cats all 5-3. Percentage just splitting those 3 teams. And then, as I said, this fleet of teams that are playing catch-up. The Giants, the Dockers, St Kilda, Essendon, Port Adelaide, all with 4 wins apiece. Carlton, I mean, they won 3 in a row. They were apparently back. They got their asses kicked by the Crows this week and got a harsh reality check. Are we at a point where we can rule them out? Are we there yet? Or have they still got too much quality on their list? Same with the Swans. Obviously got a very important win against the Giants, but we're at a point with the Swans where we can rule them out. I think it's probably 3 to 4 weeks too early before we start to get a bit more definitive about some of these clubs who've certainly got the capability but are not delivering. But it's still a bit of a shock to see those teams as far down the ladder as they are. Melbourne joins them at 3 wins, Richmond with 2, North with 1, and the Eagles now 8 games in and 8 losses. All right, let's dive into some other topics of conversation from this particular round. The 100-year Hawks celebration didn't include Cyril Rioli, which is a bit of a shame. Of course, look, we have no love for the Hawthorn Football Club here, but obviously there's been a lot of controversy around that club and some cultural issues that they had back when Cyril was playing. He didn't attend their 100-year celebration, which is really disappointing to see. But what I did like from the Hawks was this pep talk that Sam Mitchell gave the boys in the race right before they headed out. They were surrounded by a whole host of legends of the Hawthorn Football Club that day. They did a fantastic job. Sam spoke really well. I don't think it was necessarily meant to be the big G-up sort of message that a lot of coaches will give, but I thought it was a really well-considered and curated speech. He did an incredible job in that regard. A lot of respect for the way he handled things there. We referenced Freo before. Justin Longmuir's got to be under a lot of pressure right now. That was like I said before, that was an appalling performance from them, and the gap between their best and their worst is perhaps greater than any other team in the competition. And the questions are going to be asked really soon. I think he signed on at least until the end of this season, or maybe one more. But I think we're getting kind of close to a point where maybe they rip up that contract. Freo have a really good list. Their starting 23 is really, really solid, but they're all over the shop. What have we got going on here? I'm seeing a lot of responses to Bussy Sniffer here, so let's pin it. Next 2 Cats games are in the Arvo. Kids, friends, parties during both games. People are going to think me and the wife split up. Good luck in marital counselling, I suppose. Flake Mantle is one of the best comments I've heard in a while. Save that one for post-game live, and that'll get you a pizza. But yeah, Ruski says, watch Freo beat Collingwood this week, though. It's, yeah, like I said, the gap between the best and the worst is enormous. They could just come out and surprise everyone. I don't understand what's going on there. The coaching department needs to be looked at, but also the players need to, really, I don't know, it's the old take a good hard look at yourself line. They're so unreliable. And again, Flake Mantle. Jack Gunston kicks his 500th career goal. Just continuing on the theme there for Hawthorn. Massive congratulations to him. 500 goals is an enormous milestone, and he seems to have found a bit of a spring in his step in this early part of the AFL season this year. Lucas, though, doesn't miss. He says another soft game for the Hawks this week. AFL wants them in. I saw something, and please, if someone can find it, send it over or, summarize it maybe in the chat. There was something that went out. Fixtures of AFL 2025. There was a graphic that went around the other day that highlighted. Oh, hang on. I found it wasn't a graphic in this. Well, there was a graphic, but it's something that Fox Footy's put together that represented the draw difficulty for the different teams. And if we talk about Hawthorn, where are they? Hawthorn apparently had, the 6th easiest draw of any team in the competition through the first 7 rounds of the year. And that will obviously continue into an 8th, considering they just played Richmond. Gold Coast with the easiest. Fremantle, Port Adelaide. So we've just spoken about 2 very flaky teams. They've had 2 of the easiest fixtures. The hard games are to come. Brisbane has had it very easy so far. Carlton also struggling, but have had the 5th easiest. Hawthorn, Essendon, GWS, Melbourne, Adelaide. Geelong is in 11th place. So they've got the 7th hardest fixture up to this point. The Dogs, Richmond, Collingwood, poor Richmond. Well, no, that felt wrong. Just saying that. Not poor Richmond. Sucked in Richmond. Collingwood, St Kilda with a tough fixture. North Melbourne with they're one I feel sorry for. The 3rd hardest fixture, North Melbourne. Or is that just because every team is difficult for them? Sydney and then West Coast. Oh my God. West Coast has the hardest fixture of any team. But again, is that because they're the worst? I don't know. But that was an interesting one. Richmond, North, and West Coast with the 3 hardest early season runs. Let's continue on. Harry Jones, we obviously spoke about this in a bit of depth during the Thursday Paul James show with a really awful looking injury, has escaped surgery. He dislocated the ankle. I believe there's a little bit more damage there, but seems like it's only going to be a month out of football for him, which is fantastic news. And I guess, he's kind of part of my local community. He hails from my neck of the woods. There's quite a few people that I know that are quite close to his family, and spoke I guess they were pretty somber when I spoke to them on the Saturday about the injury. So it's really good news to hear that it's not nearly as severe as first thought. Hugo Garcia, after copping an absolute earful from Ross Lyon the week before, ended up getting the Rising Star nomination for round 8. So a massive congratulations to him. And Lucas says, in regards to Ross, another Ross the Boss primetime game on Friday. Looks like I'll be falling asleep 2 weeks in a row on a Friday. What a disgrace. How does this keep happening? Yeah, it's not great. Shadu asked about Willie Rioli. If people can go and source that, like if people can go and find, it's going to be paraphrased. It won't be word for word. I have seen people go to discuss it and not use the exact words. I think Tom Morris maybe posted about it. I'm keen to kind of pick through that one when we get to some Q&A a little bit later on. Lewis Melican cops a 3-game ban for striking Toby Bedford. Nick Watson has been fined for making an obscene gesture. One of these to the Richmond supporters. Like, give them a break. Their team sucks. Willie Rioli making Instagram threats. He says he's got connections. There is more to it than that. And again, sorry, I don't have the full quote, so please pull it in shortly. I didn't realize Ben had tucked it into the around the grounds bit. So if you've got the quote, feel free to let me know. But yeah, very threatening. Warned Bailey Dale to keep away from the Northern Territory. I think the Dogs are apparently investigating this scenario, which is a really interesting one. I mean, I feel like that's more of an AFL job, is it not? So we'll see how that goes. The Tassie Devils have appointed some recruiting bosses. They're obviously getting themselves ready for that 2027 draft. Stephen May and Dion Prestia will not be charged for an incident in Sorrento that I believe was like the 27th of December. Of course, when someone, there's a potential assault or whatever it was, I need to go back and double check it again. But when there's been some sort of nasty scenario in a pub or whatever it was, of course, Stephen May's involved, that thug. Speaking of Tom Morris, he's reporting that Clayton Oliver again wants a fresh start at a new club. And for us, the Cats, of course, this is a big conversation. I've seen it pop up quite a bit on the Paul James Show and various other platforms that we've got, like Post Game Live. Lots of people wanting to talk about Clayton Oliver and whether he should still come to the Cats. Obviously, that was on the table last year. Will he come to the Cats? Should he come to the Cats? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I'll discuss it more in time, I'm sure. Here we go. Lucas says, was on 7 News Adelaide. Rioli has contacted the player and Port won't interfere, and the AFL is happy with the result and won't investigate any further, says the Channel 7 source. Shadu says, I'll take Butters over Oliver in a heartbeat. I'm willing to wait 12 months for Butters. Do we acknowledge that Mullen deserves a place in the starting lineup every week if you can keep Nick Dacos in check for, I presume, for that long? Yeah, to the level he did. I mean, if O'Shea Mullen is going to come in and play a tagging role like he did on the weekend, wholeheartedly, I agree that O'Shea Mullen should remain in the team. Obviously, Nick Dacos had, high 20s disposals, but it was a highly ineffective 20-plus disposals. I haven't actually checked the stat, and I might quickly go and have a look now. The actual disposal efficiency from him in that match. It was one of the things I kind of forgot to look at when we were going through the stats on in the reaction video. But let's take a look. He was still going at 71.4%, but I just don't think that they weren't them. I would say that's a poorer 71.4% than what it would suggest. No one would pay. Yeah, this is the big trick for Clayton Oliver. He's still owed like $1.5 to $1.7 million a year. And so that's going to be a real stick in the mud for a lot of teams. Roaming says that Nick Dacos still got votes. No, Josh Dacos got votes from the coaches. Nick did not, and I presume won't get votes in the Brownlow for this one either. Apparently, Sputicus says that David King on first crack was a lot nicer to Geelong. Maybe he's seen the feedback come through. Enough on that for now. Please, if you haven't gone to watch Enough of the Week, that one has absolutely erupted in the last 24 hours. In fact, as of 3 minutes ago, the video's been up for 24 hours and it's had well over 2,000 people check it out. So thank you all for having checked out Enough of the Week. It's I've been trying to work out how to get the show up and running, and I wasn't necessarily thinking, dunk on David King, and that'll get you the numbers. But geez, did you all come out in force? Please tune into Enough of the Week every week. I like dunking on people. Former umpire Michael Pell is considering legal action after being arrested for suspicious Brownlow betting activity. This was obviously several years ago now, but maybe he's decided that he was actually mistreated in that scenario. That'll be a really fascinating one if that's the case. And some updates here. We obviously mentioned the AFLW before when it comes to the Cats, the women's players that aren't playing for the VFLW right now. Season 10 is due to begin on Thursday, August 14th, with the full fixture to be released in the next 2 weeks. So you can bet your bottom dollar we'll be discussing it on this show in the coming weeks. And I very much look forward to, sharing some thoughts on that fixture. And hopefully, like you, getting behind the girls as they make a charge for a 2025 premiership. Maybe, just maybe, we can get lucky and win a premiership in the men's and the women's comp this year. We're going to have two teams that are in it up to their eyeballs, and that would be really exciting. Thank you, Sputicus, for the little tick of approval with Enough of the Week. Second time's a charm in that case. I really nailed it the second time, I think. All right. We're going to get into a whole lot more shortly. But before we go any further, we're going to take a word from our sponsor, Cyril Cook Florist.
The Hoops Crew Media Network is proudly sponsored by Cyril Cook Florist. Visit them at shop 1211 Leather Street in Breakwater. Phone them on 035 222 2244 or visit their website at www.cyrilcookflorist.com.au and use the offer code GOCATS in the voucher field at checkout to get 20% off your next online purchase.
Thank you, Cyril Cook Florist, as always, for your ongoing support of the Hoops Crew and all we get up to. Now, let's push on with the show a little bit here. Firstly, some shout-outs to our recent Patreon members, Thomas Nash, Tracy, and Cathal, who've all signed up to our Patreon. We've got 37, as of when this show started, we've got 37 paid-up patrons on the Hoops Crew. 50 is the massive number that we're all working towards to get me in Ninja Turtles pajamas. And I'll commit to it. I'll even sing a Ninja Turtles song, I suppose. We might even do some video game Let's Play content of a Ninja Turtles game just to add to it and make it even worse. God forbid. Brendan drops the turtles. 50 for the turtle. How is this the Hoops Crew? It's Paul James and the Cats Club looking at you, Ben. Cyril cooked for Mother's Day. Cyril Cook for Mother's Day. Absolutely. Yes, Jackie. Spoil your mum. If you've got kids and your beautiful wife is there, spoil her on behalf of the kids. Or get the kids involved and spoil her. Cyril Cook, a wonderful option if you are looking to treat your mum, treat that lovely person in your life who well and truly deserves it. Spend up. And obviously, you've got the 20% online purchase code using GoCats. You can save a little bit of money in the process. All right, let's keep going here. Ben just pops a little shout out in for Bianca, who's played her 50th game on the weekend. I did see the footage, Brendan, that you put up on, I think I saw it on Instagram maybe. Wonderful little compilation there. It was great to see the goal as well. Congratulations, Bianca. Vela, you are a rock star. 50 games is a massive accomplishment at any level. And here's to 50 more. All right. Oh, my new car has a turtle mode. I'll call it Paul mode. All right. We're on to a little segment here that we're bringing in. It's a timely one. As I mentioned, AFL 26 is out this week. And if this graphic will appear, come on. Why not? Why won't you work? Let's try this again. Oh. The internet should have should Ben, I'm uploading the graphic. I uploaded the graphic that you provided me, and it's not working. This graphic is working as well as AFL 26 will when it launches. All right, well then, we'll move away from the graphic, and we'll get to the article here, which compiles some handy little details for AFL 26. There we go, this worked. Now let's try the graphic again. Hey, there we go. The top 7 highest rated players in AFL 26, according to Big Ant, the developers of the game. Paddy Cripps, the cover athlete, or one of the 2 cover athletes, I should say, the men's representative on the cover of AFL 26, is the top-ranked player in the game here with a score of 94. It was in turtle mode. It's cursed. Thank you, chat. Nick Dacos, 93. 93 for Marcus Bontempelli and 92 for Lachie Neale. Zach Butters with 92. Jeremy Cameron and Isaac Heaney also all on 92. I'm going to put it out there now. And there are a range of other stats that we're going to get to in a moment. Big Ant Studios. Ross Simmons, the head of the studio, is an unabashed Carlton fan. Now, I love Ross. Ross and I get along. We're friends. But Ross is a Carlton fan. If you've ever looked at, what is it, Vizzy Park? The old Optus Oval. at that ground, there's Big Ant logos all over it. He doesn't shy from the fact that he's a Carlton fan, and he uses that fandom and the platform that he's got to promote Big Ant all over it. It was never in doubt that Paddy Cripps was going to be the top ranked player in this game, whether you agree or not. He's Icon Park. Thank you, Brendan. Thank you, Roaming, as well. You're both legends. It was never in doubt in my mind that Paddy Cripps was going to be the top ranked player, and I could understand how. I mean, he's won Brownlows, he's an absolute jet, but it's some of these other stats that we'll now reference as we jump across to the Fox Sports article here, which just compiled a few key metrics. And as they say, in the next few days, they're going to compile every player's overall rating. There's one and a comment from our own Max Holmes that I can't wait to discuss with you shortly. Anyway, we've mentioned the top 25 actually overall here. So we've mentioned 7 of those. Jesse Hogan is sitting on 91. Charlie Curnow, Caleb Sarong, Max Gawn, Chad Warner, Errol Goulden, Christian Petrarca, Sam Taylor, Toby Green, all sitting on a 91 as well. Jordan Dawson, our own Tom Stewart, Zach Merritt, our own Max Holmes, Harry Sheasel, Tom Green, Harris Andrews, Andrew Brayshaw, and Noah Anderson, all sitting on a 90 for now. That is built. It's an accumulation of a whole range of other stats that underpin all this. But now let's get to tackling. We spoke about this before. Paddy Cripps, the top ranked tackler in the comp. Like he's great. He tackles hard. Really? Where's Tom Atkins in this? Absolutely insane. Not to feature even in the top 10. Boggles the mind. Top 10 for set shots. Josh Tracy from Freo, Jesse Hogan, Charlie Curnow, Ben King, Jeremy Cameron, Sam Darcy, Joel Amati, Taylor Walker, Jake Waterman, and Nick Larkey featuring the top 10 there. The top 10 for marking, and we did see the comment earlier. Jeremy Cameron, Harry Mackay, Jeremy McGovern, Jacob Wiedering, Jake Lever, Harry Himmelberg, Nick Vlosten, Tom Stewart, Sam Taylor, and Harris Andrews. We love Jeremy Cameron. Of course we do. But Jeremy Cameron is not the top marking player in the competition. Maybe he squeaks into the bottom of that top 10, but I would even say no to that, really. But okay. All right. The top 10 for physicality. Jesse, where's the axe? Where is the axe here? Jesse Hogan, Charlie Curnow, Harris Andrews, Sam Darcy, Josh Tracy, Patrick Cripps, Marcus Bontempelli, Tom Green, Jack Lukosius, Toby Nankervis. Where is Libba? Where's Libba on this list? Where's the axe on this list? Top 10 for speed. And this is where we're going to go back to Max Holmes' comments. The top 10 for speed. Sam Switkowski, Tyson Stengel, Brent Daniels, Bailey Banfield, Ben Ainsworth, Lockie Schultz, Zach Guthrie, Zach Williams. I don't know how you could ever record him as being one of the fastest players in the competition. His hamstring's perpetually broken. Cal Marchi and Dylan Moore. Let's scrub up to the top here where we get a comment from Max Holmes, who commented on Instagram here. Some AFL players took umbrage with the ratings. Geelong's Max Holmes did not feature in the top 10 for speed, though his teammates Tyson Stengel and Zach Guthrie did, causing him to quip in an Instagram comment on the league's page, just saying, excuse me. The speed ratings were particularly odd, with Beau McCreary, the 2024 Grand Final sprint winner, missing out, but his teammate Lockie Schultz sitting 6th overall, while other fans noted Geelong's Tom Atkins was a strange omission in the top 10 tacklers. We've just discussed that. Yeah, that's such a strange decision. Top 10 for hitouts: Max Gawn, Tristan Sherry, Oscar McInerney, Rowan Marshall, Brodie Grundy, Toby Nankervis, Lloyd Meek, Jared Witts, Sean Darcy, and Tim English. I'm okay with the hitouts thing, but like it's a pretty hard one to get wrong. Hitouts, I would say. Did they use champion data for these ratings? Says Lucas. I don't know. But there's some strange stuff. And yeah, things like the speed, things like the tackling. And I know we're looking at this through a Geelong lens, but there are some strange omissions here. But we're not so biased. Again, we said Jeremy Cameron. Should he be number 1? I don't know. Paul James with a 97 rating on YouTube. I feel like that's a bit low, to be honest. I think it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with AFL 26 later in the week. Very much looking forward to playing it. Hopefully it works straight out the gate. We'll inevitably find ourselves talking a lot more about it over the coming weeks. I also saw the comment before We need a special Kent Kingsley cover athlete. I also see Ben asking, do I get a commission for plugging the game? Only for Mew, because if it brings clicks, then you're interested. Surely a 99 for shirt off. What, get the rig out and becomes a 99. We'll see. All right. That is AFL 26. And now we will turn our attention to Q&A. So please let me know in the comments what it is that you want to discuss. I'm not looking to make this an overly long show tonight. I've got quite a few gaming and school-related things that I need to work on, but I'm keen to chat about a whole range of different topics. The first one, Ben's obviously kind of kick things off with a few little prompts for me here. He suggests, did Grand Theft Auto 6 get pushed to May 2026 to avoid competition with AFL 26? Yes. It was a weird one. So I posted the video for AFL 26. It was a reaction to the new trailer that had come out, and was very excited to do so and kind of pick through that one a little bit. The thing, so hang on, I'm making sure I'm very, very careful with my words here. I know someone at Rockstar who's working on the game. He's a friend of mine. He doesn't live, before he moved to go work on the game, he lived in Sunbury, only 10 minutes from where I live. He tipped me off about 10 minutes before that it was coming, and he tipped me off 10 minutes before, which was the moment I hit go on the AFL 26 publishing that video. So here's me talking about AFL 26, and then boom, GTA 6 news drops, and no one could give two shits about me talking about AFL 26 at that point. So hey, if anyone wants to go, check out my thoughts on AFL 26, that'd be great. What does he say? Which Ninja Turtle is your favorite, and what position in AFL would he play? We had the question came up a while ago about like the Ninja Turtles and which one's which, and I honestly, and I am not trying to. Oh, there's a question there that says, which Ninja Turtle am I? No. I'm gonna lean into this and have a bit of fun with this. Which Ninja Turtle are you most like? From Haywires, whatever that is. Start. Which weapon would you wield? Where's the Sai, bow staff, swords, nunchucks. Give me a sword. I play lots of video games. Geez, there's ads everywhere. This is gross. What color would you prefer to wear? I mean, I'm blue. Blue's my favorite color. This website that I'm having to use for this is awful. Which pizza topping would you pick? Mushrooms? No. Spicy peppers? No. Pineapple or pepperoni? Pineapple belongs on pizza. If Paul is a turtle, then Ben is Krang for starting this shit. Which Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle ally do you most want on your side? Vigilante Casey Jones, your wise sensei Splinter, quick-thinking journalist April O'Neil, and former evil robot Metalhead. I don't know who Metalhead is. Splinter's the rat guy, right? Give me Splinter. Who is the coolest Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles villain? Baxter Stockman. I don't know any of these, I don't think. Leatherhead, who doesn't... Baxter Stockman. He's crazy, but an evil genius. Leatherhead, who doesn't love a cynical Cajun. Bebop and Rocksteady. They could be fun to hang with if they weren't so evil. And Shredder. He's bad, sure, but he is a skilled ninja warrior. Shredder's the only one I know, so I'm going that. Which event would you rather attend? A cooking class with free samples, a martial arts expedition, a leadership seminar, or a tech conference? I'm a nerd, right? Tech conference. What do you like to do when you're not fighting mutants? Read and study, build something, exercise, and relax outside. Give me relaxing. Which trend from the 90s would you bring back? Oh. board shorts, fanny packs, chain. Oh yeah, because of course it's American. Chain wallets and bomber jackets. Boardies. What's your favorite 90s slang? How many questions are there here? Whatever, as if, booyah, and cowabunga. I've never said booyah, not seriously, and not in earnest anyway, or cowabunga. Whatever's a little bit too sarcastic, as if, I think. April O'Neil asks you for an exclusive interview. How do you respond? Only if we get pizza afterwards. I don't even have to look at the other answers. Give me pizza. What's your favorite type of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle media? Classic animated series, tabletop role-playing game, feature films, and comic books. I don't consume any of these. Tabletop? I guess. It's closest to a video game. Would you want to explore... What? There's so many questions here. What's your love life like? Oh my God. Just how do you handle conflict? With a sword, I guess. That's what I asked. It's necessary sometimes. Do you believe in magic? Of course not. What other superhero do you admire? Captain America, Reed Richards, which is Mr. Fantastic, Batman, or Spider-Man? Batman. Oh, no, I can't do this shit anymore. Just tell me which Ninja Turtle I am. Everyone's saying Mighty Sparlock. There's a few people saying Michelangelo, though. Which superhero team would you join? The Super Friends? I prefer to work alone. The X-Men or the Avengers? Avengers. Which city would you visit? Tokyo, San Francisco, Honolulu, or Rome? Give me... I don't want to go anywhere near San Francisco. It smells like shit. Give me Tokyo. Which instrument would you play? The electric guitar. Apart from Teenage Ninja Turtles, who is the coolest mutant? Deadpool, without doubt. What's your favorite season? Summer. Oh, I shouldn't have clicked that. I prefer winter. It's footy season. What surprises you most? When I actually get the night off to relax. I'm trying to just churn answers out. If you won $50,000, what would you do? What? How do these questions? How? Oh, I wanted to keep this short. Favorite AFL game? Surely AFL 04. What did I play? I think it had like Chris Tarrant on the front. Might have been I mean, I remember playing AFL 2000 quite a lot. Might have been AFL 04 actually. Was that the Chris Tarrant one? Tom Atkins is an 80s superstar. What's your current favorite TV show? It's definitely not Grey's Anatomy. Ted Lasso, Game of Thrones, I guess, of all those. Which big chain has the best pizza? Domino's, Pizza Hut, Papa John's, California Pizza Kitchen. I don't know most of them. Pizza Hut, because I want to go eat all you can eat again. Which sport is your favorite? None of those. Soccer's the closest to AFL football, I guess. Which pet would you choose? A dog. A dog. What type of clothing do you prefer? How does this help me determine what Ninja Turtle I am? What's a great date night? Something fun like roller skating and ice cream, a long drive down the coast, the latest museum, or dinner and a movie. It's a classic. Finally, here we go. The final question. Finally, should turtles have noses? Now, there was that horrific live action movie, right, where they didn't. They did. Anyway. It says I'm Leonardo. Is that good? Do we like Leonardo? Leonardo's the blue one. Did it just determine its answer based on the fact that I chose the blue one before? Oh. Thanks, Jackie. All right. Leonardo is the square, the leader. I'll lead. I don't like being called a square. Fuck the Ninja Turtles. Now you're all going to... Now 13 more of you are going to become patrons in the next 2 minutes, so I'm going to have to wear the fucking pajamas. Anyway, all right. let's move on with the show. Oh, dear. Where are we? Did the AFL balls up the round fixture for Thursday and Friday night? Absolutely. It was awful. Ben asked, will the AFL release a line of Labubu toys? What's a Labubu? Are they little things that dangle off your bag? I hope not. burn them to the ground. Those things look horrific. When will Dangerfield get rested? When he's dead. Because right now that we can't do without Paddy Dangerfield. You're all having far too great a time at the Ninja Turtles thing. Do you expect Toby Conway to get on the park this year? He's been to be confirmed for a few weeks, but has been apparently, training for quite a while. So, I don't know. I don't know what to make of it at the moment. I presume so, especially if he's kind of been building up his capacity, and now Rhys Stanley's gone for, 2 weeks to a month maybe. We'll see how it all goes there. We are, I guess Harley jumps in here talking about a Ninja Turtles movie. Now, I'm not familiar with that, but there are some Ninja Turtles games on the way, and I am going to talk about those shortly. Ben's kindly provided there. Lucas, I haven't started the Oblivion remaster yet, unfortunately. Planning on doing that really soon, but I'm still playing Claire Obscure Expedition 33. And a little game called Doom. Will Geelong cash in on the Bailey Smith headband thing? They've got to. They were giving him away at the Geelong and Hawthorn game, but really, you've got to, if you got a bit of sense, merchandise that shit up. I'm not saying that it's necessarily the best, I guess, fan-friendly thing, but you're a business. Sell them. Where are we? Does Rhys Stanley come straight back in after recovering his hammy? I guess there's a lot of water to pass under the bridge now in the meantime. If Toby Conway gets back, for example, and is starting to really excel, maybe not. But otherwise, right now, the current state of play, he comes back as soon as he's available. Does Jack Crisp get on the beers and have a week off after breaking the record? 100%. But he won't. Does Mitch Duncan play the next 3 weeks? I think he gets a gig again next week. I think the Lawson Humphreys exit helps. And I think Mitch Duncan played a really great game. He obviously had one moment that everyone was a bit stunned by with the handball directly to a Collingwood player. I think he just saw the flash of colour, went to it and messed up. But he had a really great game otherwise, so I've got no concerns there. Lucas, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, my friend, but I think you'll be waiting a while for a new Wolfenstein game, simply because the developers of Wolfenstein, Machine Games, they're the ones responsible for putting out that Indiana Jones game that came out at the end of last year and only just came to PlayStation 2 weeks ago. So they are well and truly at square one. And my understanding also is that Xbox wants more indie sequels, which means it might fall back in the queue a little bit. Who are Geelong's 5 best players after 7 rounds? Patrick Dangerfield, Bailey Smith, Tom Atkins. I'm going to still put Jack Henry in there because he started so well. Who would be the... Ollie Dempsey? No, Connor O'Sullivan. Oh, no, but then I said Lawson Humphreys. But what's so exciting there is that there's youth that I'm considering for that 5th and final spot. We've got people really escalating. Chat, let me know who are your top 5 Geelong players from season 2025 so far. Should Geelong take another run at Sean Darcy from Fremantle? His body's not been in the greatest of shape still, so I'm a little bit skeptical about what he could offer at this point. I think we'd probably want to go for someone who's got a few more years in the tank as well. So right now I'm going to think no. Did North embarrass themselves out about the Kane Corn situation? Yeah, they carried on like little children. Don't get me wrong. Kane Corns was being a bit of a dick. Carrying on like a child and absolutely leveraging, I guess, his position to kind of have an undue swing at them. But they sulked. I didn't like that at all. Are the Suns about to crash out? No, I think they still acquitted themselves pretty well against the deserved premiership favourites right now in Brisbane. To go down by only 3 goals, they're going to be in this race. They're going to scare some teams. They're going to upset some teams. They're going to be a challenge for us in a few weeks. They're a dangerous team. But no, I don't expect to crash out now. I think Dimmer's kind of got them working in the way they need to work. Now, injuries could derail all of that. But yeah, No, I still believe in the Suns. I think they'll be a top 8 team and they'll be dangerous. The final question here, Ben asks, is when will you review Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutants Unleashed? I won't. But what I might do for people, and I might, like I said, I might loop this into the 50 patrons thing. I'm going to project a video here. Oh, come here. We'll project it full screen. This is not our game of the week, but we'll take a look at Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Splintered Fate. This is a game that's already available, I think, on mobile and on the Nintendo Switch, and it is coming to PlayStation and Xbox and other platforms too. And it is reportedly fantastic. If anyone played Hades, it's like Hades. Played Hades. Oh, I just like kicked to myself. God damn it. Let's try that.
Yeah! 40! 40! I am detecting abnormal teleportation energy readings. Incoming. No! Through the portal, brave warriors! Ready to rumble! We're lean, we're green, and we're mean!
This game is
Want to make this a team up?
Amazing.
The more the merrier, bro!
Just so you're all aware.
Now this is a dream team! And look who else is here! Punk Frogs, dudes! I got the power! Cowabunga! That's the spirit, Robo Bro!
That's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Splintered Fate. Do you think signing Warpedo would be better than Clayton Oliver? Surely. Obviously, if Clayton gets back to somewhere close to his best this season, then the answer to me is no. But right now, I would take Warple. He's not going to cost us a huge amount in terms of financials and picks, trade value. And then that allows us to have more money in the bank, more picks in the bank for a Zach Butters pitch, who, if you've been following the news, met up with the Cats recruiting team over the course of the last week. Or his management did, I should say. I don't want to put him in an Oscar Allen position here. Met up with his management met up with Cats recruiters during the week. So Kerry asks, will I be reviewing Truck World Australia when it's released on PS5, Xbox, PC later this year? Not me. I don't know much about Truck World Australia. Truck World Australia. Take a breathtaking journey across Australia behind the wheel of a multi-ton truck. Explore highways and dirt tracks. Enjoy the beautiful nature. Step out of your cab to manually secure the hitch and inspect your cargo. Freedom and realism await you. No release date yet. Developer, Truck World Studio. Publisher, Hype Train Digital. Such video game names. I'm in absolutely no hurry to play Truck World Simulator. Truck World Australia. But that's because I'm not a sim person. On the other hand, Lucas is talking my language here. Really looking forward to Ghost of Yotai later this year and Assassin's Creed Shadows. Well, Shadows is already out, but Ghost of Yotai is absolutely, now that Monster Hunter Wilds is out, this is my most anticipated game for the rest of the year. So keen for Ghost. October 2nd. I'm glad the footy season is over. This show needs an R rating? What for? I need a cigarette. What do I need a cigarette for, Brendan? How many want to go there? Fuck me, Geelong. More options than Bailey's girlfriend. What? I miss how many players want to go there. Okay, yeah. Kerry, I think you asked another question too. Somewhere like, you mentioned the GTA delay. Look, I wouldn't be surprised if people observe the patterns as well. So GTA 5 was meant to come out, and I'm using the American language here because that's always how it's marketed to me. And in the press releases I get, that's how it's marketed to me. It was like fall 2012. Then it got delayed to early 2013, which then shifted to September 2013. The same pattern occurred with Red Dead Redemption 2, which was meant to come out fall 2017, was then due to come out early 2018, and then got pushed to late 2018. I think it was November. And this, what we're now seeing with GTA 6, is following that same pattern. You need a Watch Dogs game set in Japan. It's not quite a Watch Dogs game, but if you're looking for like an open world sort of game, some like with a bit of personality set in Japan, I'd recommend Sleeping Dogs. Now, it's an old game now. Ben, just because Paul taught toddlers to swear doesn't mean it's R-rated. I taught toddlers to swear. Oh, dear. Check out Sleeping Dogs. You'd get it for like $10 now. It was a PS3 and 360 game. There was a definitive edition remaster for PS4 and Xbox One. So you can get it for nothing. If you've got a Game Pass or a PlayStation Plus subscription, you might even get it for free. So Watch Dogs game set in Australia. Good luck. Good luck. The closest we'll ever get was when Forza Horizon came to Australia. I think that was Forza Horizon 3, if I recall. It's about the closest we'll get to any open world game set in Australia that's of any quality. You've played that and got the Platinum Trophy set in Hong Kong. Such a good game. All right, what else have we got here? We haven't got any other specific notes, but we will. We do need to jump into the game of the show. So now you've all been talking about your video games. I don't know why my milkshake brings all the boys. Oh, stop it. Jesus. You've got to talk about games that I'm into, that I want to promote. It's my show, damn it. Let's go through. There was a game that came out in 2023. It was called Sea of Stars. And it was a gigantic love letter and throwback to... Oh, we might be getting some roaming Lucas in a few weeks after the port game. That'd be awesome. Lucas does a good job behind the mic. That'll be awesome. And Spartacus is keen. And peer pressure, Lucas. If you weren't already planning on it, you're doing it now, mate. Chrono Trigger came out in the 90s, one of the greatest role-playing games of all time. And Sea of Stars was a love letter to that, and it's a game that I absolutely adored. It was absolutely sensational. Red Dead Redemption TV series from HBO is coming in 2025. That would be news to me. And we get Rockstar press releases. But interesting if true. I want you to, so Sea of Stars came out 2023. It was one of the games of the year that year. It's now getting a DLC expansion. Honestly, for most of you, you're probably not going to care that much. It's completely out of context, but the artistry is fantastic. The trailer was quirky, and I just want to talk about Sea of Stars because I love that game. So I'm going to show it off. Here is our game of the show.
You dare enter Orlange? In this world, all dance to my command. Your powers will not work here. How about something more fitting? Tickets are free, but there's no getting off this ride. Is that all you got? I know your secrets. Will you let your darker traits consume you? Oh, you've learned some new tricks. My menagerie holds many surprises. But swear, unlike your very selves, the ovation will surely be standing. Malevolent.
All right, that is Sea of Stars, Throes of the Watchmaker, DLC expansion that comes out in about 2 weeks. It's coming to PlayStation, Switch, Xbox. If you already own the game, you get the DLC for free. It doesn't cost you a cent. Spartacus, if this was post-game live, you would be earning a pizza right now, Spartacus. Just make sure you do interviews with Port Adelaide supporters before 10 p.m. They need to report to their local police station ankle monitors. Lucas smiles at Port Adelaide supporters. What's that weird thing hanging from your mouth? We've got some real post-game live energy right now, and I'm down for it. I'm enjoying it. Let's get around it. That said, the show's coming to an end imminently, so get your best jokes out now. I'm going to say before we wrap things up, thank you everyone for tuning in once again tonight. And this is not me 100% wrapping it up yet, but for tuning in once again tonight. And for coming out in force for the reaction videos, for Nuff of the Week. I love doing the live stuff and getting to chat with all of you and have ridiculous time with all of you as we do on the Paul James Show and Post Game Live. But for so many, I also love sitting there and trying to put together some sort of loosely, because I like to be able to just speak what's on my mind as it springs to mind, but a loosely curated sort of show, a pre-recorded sort of thing in the form of the reaction videos and Enough of the Week. I thoroughly like doing those and getting really into the weeds on a topic that's important to me. And for so many of you to have come out and clicked on Enough of the Week this week, in crazy numbers for Enough of the Week. I've never seen, I'd have to check, but I don't think we've had Enough of the Week ever this big. The reaction video for the Geelong and Collingwood game has been going gangbusters as well. Thank you all for having tuned in and checked out what I've put together and just everything we've done the last few days. The post-game live engagement was huge with Ben the other night. I'm sorry I couldn't get on. I know there's a few, according to Ben, there was a few little pot shots taken at me during the night. So at some point I will check it out when I stop, shed one of the million plates that I'm spinning. Apparently a few little pot shots. I presume they were Ninja Turtles related ones, but a few little pot shots were taken at me. It's really, really humbling. I'm not going to get too fluffy about the whole thing, but it's really, really humbling to have an audience who cares what we've got to say, who tunes in en masse at times, and is willing to have a good time, and relationships that form like friends, like normal relationships you'd have with other people, and I made a big deal about it when I went to the Geelong and Fremantle game, the home game there. And I had my son, which made it a little bit tricky at times. But the number of people that either stopped and said hi, that I got on camera with, that I just got an opportunity to shake hands with and get to chat to you for a moment was amazing. And the same sort of thing happened again. It was an amazing moment getting to chat to Brendan kind of over the fence, but to have Bianca and Declan come over and stop for a photo and a bit of a chat at the cat shop before Geelong and Hawthorn. Like, these interactions mean a lot to me. And I'm thoroughly enjoying having this show. I get to work with an amazing team between Ben, myself, and the chaps. I think we're creating some really awesome stuff. So thank you all for the ongoing support of the show. I'm getting a little bit fluffy. I'm going to wrap things up. We can get back to something stupid. Please, someone make a wildly inappropriate joke. Lucas, I don't know, find a way to get onto this stream and take your shirt off for a second. Whatever, let's move on. Kerry says, it felt like a grand final on Saturday night when the Cats won by 3 points. The tense and the crowd going nuts. It was nerve-wracking in the last 2 minutes. It absolutely was. I'll see you at Optus if you're keen, Paul. I'll be there acting like a dickhead as usual. I don't have the finances to get to many interstate games at the moment. Leonardo wouldn't get sentimental like that, so I guess I'm better than that fucking Ninja Turtle. Lucas says, shout out to Vince from Tassie. Let's have a part 2. And Ben, if we could really organize this. Like, we could make this into a thing. If you don't want to run the post-game live where this occurs, I'll do it. But we need to, like, I'm concerned about shirts being removed. Especially on especially on Lucas. We just don't need it. We just don't need it. He's going to get us demonetized. Ben highlights it, and this is a good opportunity to kind of throw over to the end notes here, the outro. Lucas says, what's wrong with that? Thank you all. But yeah, make sure to check out Jake's opening recap. Jake has been doing a phenomenal job for the chats with some amazing little soliloquies at the beginning of the show lately. He's been absolutely crushing it. Check out what the chaps are doing. I know we've spoken a lot about post-game live, the Paul James show, the reactions, a lot of the other stuff. I would argue that the best stuff that we're producing, the most carefully curated, but also some of the funniest content we're producing comes from the chaps. So check out what they're up to. They're already on the right YouTube channel. So check out their review of the game and the preview of upcoming games. Do it. It's my wish for you is to go check out what the chaps are up to. They're doing an amazing job. We're talking about tassels here on Lucas's nips. Mankini. Ooh. Oof. Brandon, you can't have the kids. You can't have fishnets. You can't have the kids on at that point. All right, let's wrap things up. We'll get fishnets off the screen there. Thank you all for having watched. As always, if you haven't, consider taking up the 7-day free trial on Patreon. I mentioned it before. We're chasing a goal of 50. We'll do the Ninja Turtles thing as well, but we've been chasing a goal of 50 patrons. Thank you all for the 37 of you who are already patrons of the Hoops Crew and are helping us to reach that goal. We're going to keep chasing it. We want to continue to deliver more meaningful content for our patrons. If you haven't already, those who are already patrons, I put a post up on Sunday night looking for your topic requests for the scratching post. For anyone unaware, the scratching post is usually like a 5-minute video thereabouts that I prepare while I'm driving to work. I just put the phone in the mount and talk about a topic that people have requested. I've put the post up, but I haven't gotten, I'll double check to see if anything has popped up since the show has started. We've usually had a couple of people share some thoughts and ideas. As of now, no one has actually popped any suggestions in there. So if there's something you want discussed, and I do open that one up to the free members as well. You, of course, the video is behind the paywall, but free members, you can pop your suggestions in there for a topic. So if you've got something you want me to discuss on the scratching post, jump across to the Patreon, patreon.com/thehoopscrew. Tell us what you want me to discuss, and I'll put something together on my way to or from work this week. For the content slate for the week, Tuesday, tomorrow, 6 p.m., the chaps do their thing. As I mentioned before, check out Jake's intro. Enjoy the whole show. They do a wonderful job there. And if you enjoy that, again, Patreon, that's where you get the extended version of the show. Wednesday at 5 p.m., Ben returns with The Tipping Point, sharing his thoughts for the next week's games and, leaning into some ridiculous algorithm that, I don't know, I'd argue it doesn't work. Thursday night, the Paul James show returns again. That will be our preview episode of the Geelong and GWS game with a lot of other loose, stupid shit going on, much like tonight. And then Sunday, 7:30 p.m. live, the post-game live will be back again. I'm double parked. I've got my episode of Patched for my game stuff and post-game live at the same time, but I'll make sure I'm there and doing a bit as well. Ben will be hosting as always. Good night. Have a beard to trim. Vince requested it. This is going places. Ben, we made a couple. Maybe. Thank you, everyone, for having tuned in, as always, tonight. The chat, you've been wonderful. Love to hear from you. Look forward to doing it all again on Thursday night. And until then, remain Geelong strong, and I'll see you later.